Hi everyone. It is going to be the other semifinal. I think Wardy is casting Tilo versus Neeb on his channel. We are casting GuMiho versus Serral. Tweet it out and then we'll be good to go. First map's going to be on Abyssal Reef. It's a TvZ on the Common Ground server of North America Central. And I'm very interested to see how this goes. I don't think I've seen Serral's ZVT. I don't want to say at all, but I feel like it's been a while.
I don't know, like who would he have played? Like maybe special? Like there's just been almost no Terrans in this tournament for him to have contested. In fact, he had no Terrans in his group for the second stage, and he only played against Beastie in the first stage once, and that was it. So Serral's played one TvZ this entire Penthouse tournament.
Central. That's what it's supposed to be on, isn't it?
I think so. Serral
Well,
coming from Europe. GuMiho coming from Korea.
yeah.
Is GuMiho the last Korean? I believe he is. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
other Koreans have been knocked out at this point.
Or forfeited.
Yeah, oh, it feels bad, man.
On the bottom right is the red Zerg. He is Serral.
In his opponent, the top left, going to be the blue Terran player from Psystorm Gaming, repping that blue very well. It's GuMiho. And I was actually looking for the towel yesterday. So GuMiho's team gives Zombie up like a couple, I guess, of these Psystorm branding hand towels. And, of course, gave one to me. And I washed it. And yesterday I was actually particularly having some hand sweats after a very grueling TvZ. And I'm like, hang on, guys, because I'm trying to stream, right? I'm like, I'm going to find the towel. I got to show this off to you. I don't know where it is. I know I didn't lose it. I brought it home because I remember putting it in the wash. But I'm like super pissed I can't find it.
Just got lost.
Unless I washed the color right out of it. It's just one of my white cloth towels.
It was like the lowest quality wash towel ever. Ever. I don't know. I guess mine's still in my drawer, but we had a couple of subs. I don't know what's up with Twitch alerts, but I have to refresh to see new subs, and that's really annoying. Laren76, new sub. Ragin76er, new sub. Andron84, new sub. Opossums, new sub. Tier 3! Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Did we just get a tier 3 sub?
Did I just say opossums? I mean, I guess he's going for opossums.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I mean, if I knew it was in the sentence, I would have said it that way.
Oh, possums.
Whatever. And I think we got Malax. So that catches us up. But cool to see a tier 3 sub.
That's awesome. Of course, just generally stating as well, I really want to do, like, I know a lot of streamers are like, oh, we're not going to treat our subs any different. We're all a big fucking happy family. Well, forget that. I want to do cool stuff for our tier 3 subs. I want to do awesome stuff for our tier 2 subs. But right now, other than recognizing that you're awesome and subscribing for more, we don't actually have the option to, like, there's no tools to help us do that just yet. I know Twitch has plans for things, but we gotta wait for them to roll them out, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Also, some of them are not public, so I can't talk. Feels bad, man.
Well, this is some pretty good damage from Serral. Thinking of Maddie76 for the 6-month resub. Love you, Rifkin and Zombie Grub.
Love you too.
Yo.
Have a good day at school.
Yo. I want to stay home and bake cookies with you. But it was good damage from Serral, as the Lings were just that appropriately timed that the Reaper really didn't want to come back. It already committed to the main base, and it didn't get anything for it either, which is like equally as good for Serral. So he got an SCV, a big delay in the command center, a decent scout into that front, the main base, and lost no drones in doing so.
Yeah, and again, for those who are looking to chat, people are mentioning they're going over to Wardy's stream. By all means, please do. He's casting Tilo and Neeb, and if you want to watch them, have a good time. The whole point of this tournament is for you guys to watch your favorite players play, and that's why there's so many of them competing. But I think Serral and GuMiho is going to be a really... I think this is a good test for Serral. It's kind of maybe another game for GuMiho. It's just unfortunate that this couldn't possibly be like on the same server, because I would love to see these two fight LAN settings.
Yeah. I think it'd be pretty good. Serral has a lot of hype, and sometimes they have a lot of hype from the ladder or from one result, and they don't really, you know, do anything beyond that for quite some time. But Serral's just been on the up and up consistently.
But I feel like it's not even that there's just hype. This isn't some random guy people are hyping up. He's earned it, right? highly regarded by many of the other players as like a very, very good player to look up to. So,
yeah. GuMiho, I think maybe has heard once or twice about him after all he's playing in a European Cup, basically. And I feel like they know the names of foreigners, even if they don't know exactly their styles. Like, he probably knows Showtime pretty well, and they might play later, and that would be really cool. But I don't know about Serral. GuMiho has so far, I think, slapped down every person he's kind of come up against. He got 2 3-0s in his group, and then I think another one in his other group. So it's been a pretty easy ride for GuMiho.
Actually, hang on, I had that open. Let me go see Serral. Yeah, okay. Serral 2-1, Serral 2-1, 3-2, 3-2. Serral's actually had a pretty grueling tournament so far. I didn't realize.
I do think that he has had more evenly matched, and that's why I have no problem like hyping him even more right now. Is because, like I said, he's had this. It's not just one breakout performance against one really good player. It's like he really is rising the ladder, and every ladder is like another like. Barely better than the last European pro usually, but also like a North American or
yeah, actually, back in group stage 1, GuMiho had a couple of like 2-1 matches, but then he 3-0'd everybody else afterwards.
Ah, yeah,
he just floored his opponents and his yikes.
Yeah, that's the ones that I cast. They weren't really in a contest. Hellions and Banshee into mech, by the way, but more importantly, the Hellions right here, right now. Get 5 drones, but Serral responded as quickly as he could. The Lings got in here, and they're going to get into that main base and see that there's still no tech lab on the barracks. He hasn't seen the armory, and he didn't see any Hellbats, so he can't quite determine if it was mech from that, but I think that's too big of a delay, and he barely saw the factories we put down. Pretty cool, too,
by the way, we were talking about our tier 2 emotes. Guys, we actually have a new tier 2 emote pending. I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, the vampire one's been removed because, in my opinion, something better is coming.
Okay. Well, this is the first time he sees the Hellbats, pretty sure, and they do a great job against the Lings, but it's barely enough to make this not so problematic. You could definitely save the drones, but he's not. He's actually dealing with the Banshee right now. And the kill count is starting to rack up now up to 12. GuMiho getting some decent damage done. He's on 3 bases. And Serral, I'm not sure he realized that it's mech. It still remains to be seen, basically, because he hasn't built a Roach Warren yet, but he has a Spire that he hasn't invested into yet either.
And you don't really play the assumption game here with mech. Like, mech is not the common thing to do.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think if he really looked hard, that lack of stim timing would have been a little suspicious, but then again, there are just some Terrans who go for super late stim, but now he finally gets a huge confirmation on the multiple factories. Like I said, he might have known, because you can still use the Spire against a mech player. It's the Lings that are questionable and the lack of a Roach Warren, but he doesn't even go for a Roach Warren. He goes for an Infestation Pit, which I imagine is for Swarm Hosts, and GuMiho isn't quite ready to stomp him before we can get to those, like he was in the last time we saw GuMiho play mech. I guess last time I saw him was on Newkirk against Bly, and it seemed to be that Newkirk for GuMiho was his mech map. So to see it on Abyssal is cool. He's doing it more than just one map, and to see it against another opponent is also pretty cool. But he was able to slap down Bly before Bly could do very much. I don't think it's quite the case here. He did some decent damage to Serral, definitely, but Swarm Hosts could do decent damage to GuMiho, if that's the way he's going.
Well, I think that it's... I'm thinking back to like HOTS more than Legacy of the Void. There's a history of mech on this server, and there's no doubt in my mind that Serral will know what he should do, but pulling it off, especially when you're late like this, can be difficult. Nice thing is, though, okay, Swarm Hosts are on the way. Never mind, I was going to start speculating, but Swarm Hosts are on the way, so he knows what's up. He knows what to do.
And even though Serral's young, he has been playing StarCraft 2 for like 5 years.
I really like the Thor Medivacs, actually. That's awesome.
And the Vikings. The Vikings like get those last shots on the weak mutas. The range is good for the Vikings. Not necessarily their acceleration or speed. They're chasing, but if the mutas die, I don't think Serral's going to be too upset. They really just meant to control and poke and prod. And just by distracting GuMiho like this is already, I think, decent. I mean, obviously, if they could get the Medivacs with the Thors, that would be better, but that's unlikely.
Well, I gotta give it to GuMiho. A lot of micro, a lot of attempts to kill the mutas, get that monkey off his back, so to speak. But hopefully he is thinking about the possibility of Swarm Host, because right now it's been pretty much unanimous amongst the few mech players that there are that Swarm Hosts are just this anti-mech unit. Like, you just really cannot go mech properly when they're doing it. So what's GuMiho's answer to this going to be? Does he just soak it up? Does he go air instead? Does he dodge it out? I honestly don't know. We haven't seen enough of this to have pros like show us the way.
Well, those Hellbats barbecue them pretty quickly there. I thought he was going to go for the command center.
Yeah, blue flame's real nice.
Widowmines placed around the map have also given advanced notice. Like, first this one popped off, and then this one popped off, and that gave GuMiho barely enough time to respond both ways. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but honestly, Swarm Hosts, they're not too great at evacuating. Of course, they have that cooldown on the Locust, so if they're found, they're in trouble. And they're supposed to be a little bit sneakier. I think Abyssal Reef's a great map for them because there are so many avenues, but these Widowmines, I'm not sure Serral, I mean, I know Serral saw them. Yeah, he's like trying to split against them, but he's not cleaning them up with an Overseer. Serral has gotten to 5 bases, 76 drones, on his way to a hive, and we really are going to have that question answered of, okay, he took a lot of damage in the early game, but is mech really viable? Because if it gets absolutely destroyed by Locusts and Vipers, they're kind of just so like, well, what do mech players do? And GuMiho is really the guy to show us the way in mech, as he was in Heart of the Swarm.
Well, you know, this is kind of cool. If you bait them on the ground with the Thors and then pick them up, there's nothing to worry about for the sky, right? But yeah. Unfortunately, he's still bleeding on Hellbats for this. I guess the nice thing is when you're playing mech, you've usually got a few minerals to float, so it's not the end of the world to give away Hellbats, but... Ay. Yeah, where's that Alpha 5 emote, right?
That is a lot of Swarm Hosts, but, you know, mind you, as you were talking about that micro against the Locust, if he ever finds a golden opportunity where the Locusts aren't doing a ton of damage, like maybe they're attacking the command center that just lifts, and he follows and chases the Swarm Host, you know, there's not much else for Serral. There's a handful of Lings that have some decent upgrades, but that's it. But GuMiho is pinned back, just trying to patiently get to 5 bases. He already added on a bunch more command centers.
You know, the thing is, too, he's been consistently upgrading his ground, so we're not going to see that, like, sky transition, which I think is where I thought this would go once Swarm Hosts were coming out, because, like, of course, the best way to deal with Swarm Hosts is just get air units, right? Can't hit them? No problem.
Yeah. This is going to be a lot of Hellion deaths. Even the Painlings come in here and try and help out. As I said, though, you ever do this and it doesn't work out like you wanted, or they see an opportunity, they could counter, but GuMiho, not that large of a scary army. Serral just backs off for a second. He's on his way to Broodlords. Great Aspire's done. Corruptors are on the way. And GuMiho, well, he has Vikings. Like you said, he's not really going into air mech. So I'm not too sure about this.
The Vikings are actually like a necessary evil for 2 different reasons, right? Like, one is, of course, you want to shoot the Locusts out of the sky if you can, but secondly, you know Corruptors and Broodlords are coming at some point. Nobody doesn't go those versus mech, so you're going to need to keep those Vikings alive. Like, you can't afford to just give them away.
I was so confused. A bit choked in here, not the best Locust release. The tanks did clean that up without any damage on the SCVs. I'm gonna say it's really cool to see these 2 guys battling out in the first place. Serral's hype versus GuMiho's just legacy. But also mech versus Zerg. And then also on top of that, I think there's been, at one point, like I think like a couple months ago, you had Koreans think that the mech was pretty good. And then you had Europeans saying, it's terrible, we just go Swarm Host against it.
Yeah.
And no one would ever, like, I don't remember seeing a match that really, like, said one way or the other.
No one could contest it.
Yeah, like, the Koreans were on their server and the Europeans were on their server, and none of these games happened at DreamHack, so I feel it's kind of like one of the first times I've seen it, and the Locusts are looking pretty effective.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, the problem is they deal just so much damage. They don't have a lot of health. They can be shot down pretty easily. That's why I'd love to see more Thors, but more on that point afterwards. This GuMiho's being pushed back. Swarm Hosts. Like, it's trading for units.
Corruptors even chasing down the Vikings, and the Medivacs don't care about a single missile turret. Not turning into Broodlords either, I think is worthwhile noting. He could have, probably, and he still can, as they're not dying quite yet.
Right, so this is where the dynamic of the Thor becomes really interesting to me. On one hand, like, you've got them to shoot some of the Corruptors out of the sky, and that'd be nice to have. On the other, though, Locusts only have a very small health pool. If you actually have 3 or 4 Thor volleys with +2 weapon upgrades, which is what he's on right now, you actually kill most of the Locusts before they even land. So if that's going to continue to be a problem, it might be his best option. Because Vikings, as good as they are, the problem is they don't AoE. They attack slow and a single target.
Corruptors, well, there's nothing really for them to shoot down, so they were looking for it. Don't need to. Brought up the upgrades as you're talking about them, and GuMiho also invested into high-sec auto tracking a long time ago, and just now building armor. Now is the opportunity to go. He's going to catch a couple of queens. That could have been a lot of transfuses. Die instead. Locusts aren't quite ready, and Broodlords aren't quite ready. Only 2 Thors. Well, they have that other mode. That's like... sick. Oh, he's going to cancel. Ooh. Tough decision. They were like 74% done. Even if Serral lost a base, if he could get to Broodlords, I think that would be worthwhile. He hasn't really out-expanded GuMiho, but he has the option to take more expansions, just save the drones.
Yeah, I don't know about the Broodlords, to be honest with you. What's funny, though, is the Locust right now he's really hesitant to use because he knows there's such a long cooldown on it. He's tank just running on base.
Army's getting pretty split up. Hellbats go to that 5th base. There's a couple of spine crawlers, though, that are working wonders. Tanks go to this base and are probably going to get the kill. This base does go down, but Broodlords are out, and GuMiho is going to take that as a sign to retreat. Again, only 2 Thors, 1 pretty weak. The other Thor's over here. A drone did go down, and this base might still. That Thor packed an awesome punch. This base goes down, too.
The other thing, feels like high-impact payload mode. Thors can actually contest those Broodlords, funny enough.
Oh my god, he's going to save it. He needs more lings. Not going to happen. Just kidding.
Oh, I was going to say, this tank had a lot of health. I don't know if they were really in danger.
Well, they are cleaned up by lings this time, as everyone's flushing out their upgrades. But Serral lost, well, almost. No, he did lose 3 bases. He just planted that down. That's he had enough bank to certainly replace 1, maybe 2, but to replace all 3 bases and all the ones that were mining, you know, mind you, main and natural mined out. That's a lot of time. He doesn't have an economy, so he's gonna try and deal the same damage to GuMiho. But GuMiho has, as most Terrans do, a lot of command centers already to float around.
Actually,
even if he did get a planetary.
You know, it's really interesting. I didn't quite catch this earlier when we were talking about, but despite having the freebie units like Locust and stuff, Serral's actually losing the resources lost war.
Yeah, I wonder if that's recent or not. I guess I couldn't tell.
It's gotta be, right? Because it's just like all Locust.
Whoa! I kind of noticed he went for Drilling Claws, but I didn't think about it. Oh!
Yo, Zombie, you know what I'm gonna reference right now.
Yeah.
You can get some really good stuff done with Widowmines, of course, but unfortunately, the downside is they can also grab a lot of these free units. You don't want them going off on Locusts. You don't want them going off on Broodlord. So we'll see where the focus variants are playing. But I really like the idea of the Widowmines, not for the Broodlords even so much as the Corruptors, just to remove them from the equation.
Yeah. I'm thinking that's more the thought process we're going to, but he saw an opportunity. Only 4 Broodlords live. GuMiho still up in 20 supply. Still has so many command centers, so even though Serral did just use... Well, wanted to use mostly free units to kill command centers. I don't think GuMiho would have been too sad about it anyways. He has 4 extra orbitals. Well, 5. This one's almost mined out. And Serral is only on 2 bases mining again. No 3rd to even like fall back to in case he lost these. This is looking grim now for Serral.
You know, it's surprising too. I thought Stormhost really would have been the easy mode, like answer to this. It's how it looks so far. It's what we've heard of from the other players. Like, this wasn't speculation on our part, but it's not like Serral's a random schmuck player who's playing badly either.
Those Widowmines, not targeted as they weren't attacking, to successfully get on top of the Storm.
But they just wasted a lot of shots, so you'll know. Like, it did remove free units, which is always good, I suppose, but it's such a long cooldown, you don't want them to go off like that.
Yeah. This base is going to go down. What's happening to the north side? A couple of Vipers get blind in clouds. He lands what he can, but drones are also going down now. And Serral is hurting in the army supply and the economy. Just depending on just the free units, but only 3 Broodlords and a handful of Swarmos with no Locusts right now. 6 more Swarmos on the way, but this is too much. GuMiho is just rallying now.
Yeah. Well, GG's finally get called. A very interesting game 1 that was not at all what I expected out of this series. But GG GuMiho.
Oh, neither did I. And I thought Serral had a time where he looked like he was doing pretty well, but he did take that early game damage. It wasn't quite the perfect macro game he would have wanted. All right, I'm making. Newkirk Precincts. This is the map that I would have expected Mech on, and maybe he'll do it again. I did win. Invite all the people.
Real ID.
Or that. See, Nugget has now successfully made this a cat cam. Good job, Nugget.
Good job, Nugget. Pay for that camera. Make it worthwhile. No regrets.
Can't get over how kittenish she is. She like runs.
Kittenish?
Yeah, she like runs funny. Looks like a little pigeon toad. She's always wants to play. She like her
A little bit
limbs
derpy.
just flail around.
Yeah, that's pretty adorable. That's pretty kittenish.
Whereas on the other side, Apollo has gotten cat acne.
I think you're telling me about that. I didn't realize cats got acne or whatever.
Yeah, I knew they did because I like would read cat books because I want to.
Because I want to be a good mom.
Yeah, I've never had a cat that had it though. So I did more research, and apparently, like if it continues, it can be a bit serious. But sometimes it's just a flare up, and I don't know if he got it from being stressed about the new cat, or he's getting old, or what.
I would imagine it's probably stress, if anything. I mean, I don't know a lot about acne. Don't get me wrong here, but I can definitely see like stress being a contributing factor.
Well, now they're best buddies, so we should be fine.
Yeah, so it'll go away, and that's what you look forward to, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
So subside. All right, it's game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, in a best of 5. And once again, I do remind you that if you do want to try and make Home Story Cup happen, if you want to support TaKeTV, head on over to TaKeTV's Twitch page and go to the donation box down below. Anything you donate here, of course, will always be appreciated, but will not go towards Home Story Cup. In fact, that's why I think, value cheering so much, because it's a pretty clear distinction. That being said, we do want to help them do what they can, so a couple of bucks here and there can go a long way. Check them out. Spawning in the bottom left, though, played Mech game 1. Crossing my fingers to see it for game 2. In the bottom left, it's Psystorm's GuMiho.
Everyone says you look cute today, Rifkin.
Thank you.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, he is Serral. He did you.
So I'm going to assume you did not, and I bring this up for totally small talk. Did you catch any of my stream yesterday?
No.
So I downloaded one of those MOBA games for your phone, all the League of Legends ripoffs.
Okay.
And like it is like literally like you've got characters that are like the same characters, just like different names, stuff like that, right? But one of the ones I settled on that I kind of enjoyed, and I even streamed a little bit of. Turns out, dude, there's this hero. Okay, and I'm only reminded of this because we got Terminator and a bunch of other people in chat who were in my stream yesterday. There's this hero, right? He's literally a transformer. He turns into a car for his ultimate and drives into somebody and explodes and stuns them. And then like the back of the car, like the hood of the car, is his shield. Oh, I had the biggest dilemma of all time. I'm like, do I spend $30? And I'm like, no. Ultimately, I said no. Fuck that, right? But I was just like, guys, I want this hero so badly. I want a car that you can just like crash into somebody on purpose and stun/kill them.
Sounds like they
How
got
sick would that be if in StarCraft, Hellions, you're like, you know what? These are pretty garbage versus queens. But I could totally just drive one right into them.
Especially if you have that skin to do extra damage.
Oh man, you got like the bones and the spikes and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be like
Sick.
StarCraft 2 Twisted Metal.
Oh my god, Twisted Metal! Jesus Christ, I forgot about that game.
Yeah. Well, everyone does because, you know, there's been a lot of Twisted Metals, but
Dude,
the ones
Twisted
after
Metal,
3 were like really bad.
Twisted Metal and Crazy Taxi
Yeah.
were like the entirety of my like grade 8 and grade 9 life.
Yeah, that's how I learned to drive.
That's how I learned about the Offspring.
Oh yeah, I learned so many bands from playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Just being all in the background, right? I probably learned more about whatever. What kind of music do you think that's called? Alternative rock, grunge music? I mean, they had a mixture, I guess, through all the Tony Hawks, so it's not like I could say there's a specific one. But of those genres, I probably learned the most from playing that game. I used to love Tony Hawk. I love like creating my own character, and in the way that you would beat missions that you couldn't beat playing like the standard way, you kind of like cheat. Is you would just do tricks because that wouldn't if the timer counted down and you were doing a trick, you could continue doing it. And you could do tricks for literally like 10 minutes and gain all the points you would need to beat the mission. That's how I would do it.
That's like a Jet Set. You would just grind the same rail back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Compass. But man, I just went to TaKeTV's page to try and donate a couple of bucks to help. It's a euro. Ugh.
You can change it.
Oh, can you? Well, I donated €5, whatever. Rip.
Oh, I donated yesterday.
I said helping.
Helping. Well, third TC on the way. GuMiho did open up the factory, something that Serral saw. But really, no Hellions? No. Well, oh, they're just... Okay. Yeah, GuMiho was pretty defensive with his Reaper as well until he knew for sure there weren't going to be any Lings. I guess thinking the same thing for the Hellions until he has a wall to fall back on. But Serral isn't interested in doing a lot of damage with Lings. He built enough to deal with like a Widowmine drop or a Hellion run by, but not much more than that, and is on his way to a lair. Raven's more interesting.
Well, I always love Ravens. Auto turrets are really, really good. The funny thing is, though, I really don't think they're that great versus Zerg. Well, here it's going to be fine, but like as you know, Lings get a quick surround, and this doesn't get much. Most of the kills actually come from the natural base, but that's the Reaper.
Yeah, one kill.
Oh, I thought you got two. Man, bad. It was the Auto turret that got two. But the point is still, like, it just doesn't... it doesn't work out the same way it does versus Terran and, like, TvT. We're so used to this double Raven opening, but Zerg actually have ways to... Let's just clean up the turret quickly, but body it too. Like, just throw Lings away at the turret. Who cares?
I think Newkirk's, I mean, any map is really fine for the double Raven, but there are some maps that are better than others, and like Abyssal can be one of those. Proxima, if you get in the back between the bases, can be another one. Newkirk, it really is just like you expect them to come in here, so you can have like a Spore Crawler or a couple of Queens. But two Ravens together, two Auto turrets together, you just have to run away from that, which Serral does. Not too bad. GuMiho is going bio. Where's that? Oh, there it is. Yeah, Stim is already 75% of the way done. Serral did not see this, so theoretically he could be being tricked again, but we know he's not. So Balin is definitely necessary. Spire is already done. Upgrade's not on the way. That's something that GuMiho will have much faster. But Mutas will be coming out maybe when GuMiho doesn't expect it, and they could get a couple of SCV kills.
I'm really sad Stimpak's researching, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm sorry. Only...
I was inspired that last game.
GuMiho only goes mech once per best of 5, apparently.
Well, actually, he does only, like, he won't consistently do it, he'll mix it up, right? But I think what was really important, and I actually think this is the case, I think there's a little bit of respect here. Like, noting how difficult it was to win that last game, seeing how annoying Swarmhouse can be, I think GuMiho choosing not to go mech is a smarter choice, just based on the way his opponent played against it.
It was definitely an uphill climb. See what Serral's versus bio looks like, as GuMiho does come in here and instantly clean up a lot of creep. He unfortunately went for those mutas first, and they're not so great in direct attack. They're supposed to hit, I think, right before this got too far forward. But, you know, GuMiho still has to be very wary. He is on creep. He doesn't want to be surrounded instantly. And the mutas... Oh, there's already a missile turret. Never mind. Ravens distract all the banelings, too. And GuMiho is preparing to catch the mutas on their way back. Also cleans a bit of creep spread. These mutas aren't high in number. They weren't to begin with. Only one has died so far, so they're really not threatening. Serral only starts one upgrade, too. This is... I don't want to say it's looking grim already, but GuMiho... There's a lot of... It deflects the mutas easily. It cleans up so much creep spread. That really was going to be nice. Even if, like, one creep tumor had survived. And is ready to push again. Serral has a 4th base on the way, and his creep spread's great to the north, so no problem defending that. But I think the Ravens even got back home. Yeah, now they're going to push with the army. No scans needed.
You know what I love about these Ravens, though? Auto turrets are great. I think a couple of point defense turns might even pay well into this. Whether it's stopping the Queens from shooting the medevacs or the mutas in the sky, but I think auto turrets could soak those bailing hits better than anything else in this army. There's no Marauders after all.
Yeah, not much splash. Just 2 Widowmines and the Hellbats on the front, but the splits are going to be good. They good.
They're really good. 1-1 favoring GuMiho heavily now. More banelings morphing in, but the problem is, for poor Serral, as good as whatever may be, like even with baneling speed, GuMiho's just got a lot of units.
Turrets burn the... Or Ravens burn the auto turret. So I'm not too helpful with that on now. Looks like Serral did realize there's Widow Mines.
There we go. I hope you realize there's both of them.
Good. I mentioned upgrades before. Serral's only going to have 1-1 to GuMiho's 2-2, and there's a very, very strong rally of units. Finally starting to add in a couple of Marauders, and now has a lot more tech labs, too. By the
way, someone in chat bringing up Sonic Racing Transformed. Yo, we need to play that again sometime. I kind of forgot about that game. Basically Mario Kart for PC. I loved it. Super Nintendo never did that. Alright, more on that later. Bandits crashing into the Hellbats. Marines trying to split off. It shouldn't be too bad for GuMiho. And he'll take this fight pretty handily. Serral ends up attacking like 3 seconds before Carapace finished upgrading too. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. +1 flyer attacks about to be finished up. Overlord speed for those overseers to help catch these Widow Mines. There's really not that many Widow Mines though. Like GuMiho went really hard on just mass Marine, and is now going more into bio Marauders to soak up the Banelings as opposed to Widow Mines trying to get the shots. So a lot more emphasis on the bio play.
Yeah, I really wish while we were playing, you would get those little upgrade tabs like GameHard has on the side. Maybe not the whole upgrade, right? But it'll tell you like, you know, if Serral knew, for example, there's 3 seconds to go for Carapace, does he engage or does he hold off?
I think he holds off, but that's what makes a good player.
That's true, I guess. I'd like to see more good players. So if it's gotta be a little bit easier, I'll take it.
No. No.
Take your elitism over to Team Liquid, Zymergo.
Take your casualism to League of Legends.
Well played. GuMiho's still up like 20 supply. He's got the upgrade lead 2. I mean, 2-2 to the 1-1 is really weird to see. I guess I'm just so accustomed to Zerg usually being there first. But that's the problem when you best mutas. You put off those upgrades, you stall everything out, everything's slower later, and now this 2-2 is looking to just topple it. Serral actually has so many banlings, it could be a problem. Because while they may or may not get explosive hits, there's actually not many lings to try and capitalize on whatever damage the banlings do.
These upgrades are so bad. Those Marauders are forever to die.
I know. And there's no medevac support for them, right? But 60 Marines. Got a handful of Marauders. These banlings, oh, they're struggling. Yeah, they don't even kill Marines when they connect. That's how bad this is.
Yeah. The mutas can do a decent job picking off Marauders, but they never really reach the higher numbers, you know? Like 20 is when they instantly swoop in and snipe a Marauder and get out, but 11, the Marines can actually react.
Yeah, he cuts themselves. He's forcing all these banelings into a terrible corner. They're going to have to come out, but they're going to come out into a choke. Marauders are going to split. I don't know why. They could be clumped up all day. There's nothing here for damage.
GuMiho, I think, is just really aware that he is losing out on his Marauders and that there is nothing but Marines left, so he's being a little bit careful. Trying to split. He is still on creep. Nothing really but banelings here.
I have a very different point of view on this. I think GuMiho doesn't give a fuck that he's out of Marauders. He's up double the army supply. He's really just running away with this game.
If he didn't give a fuck, he already would have like busted into the natural, but he is still being cautious. Ling's still trying to distract as he takes his 4th base. That's his main, by the way. Nice Widow Mine snipe. Some SCVs were pulled away from the Ling harass, which is kind of funny, and they're going to go back to mining. But all of the creep spread has now officially been cleaned up on this side, and that's like something that Serral was like the one thing on his side. Off of creep is absolutely going to go terrible. GuMiho can just go ahead and send away. Still playing.
You know it's bad when you're losing the creep spread that connects your bases.
Yeah. He's still being really cautious, you know, sending the Marauders out first. Kind of splitting his Marines up. Gotta throw this game.
Oh god. Oh, that was brutal. Oh man, GuMiho is so good. We know this, right? And this forget the Korean dynamic for a sec. Just objectively as a player, GuMiho is fantastic. So is Serral though, and it's so crazy watching him just demolish Serral like this. Like it's a 2-0 and that's one thing, but like mech into bio and both games look so smooth and handled so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Serral just not getting what he needed from his opener. Playing the upgrades like that. The next map's going to be on Proxima. We're going to take a quick break before then. Welcome back. It is game number 3 and potentially the last game as Serral is down 2 games. Now it is still the winner's bracket, so he has another chance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. It's not the group stages that we've been seeing up to this point. It is straight up double elimination, and nobody's really out of it, which is good if you're fans of both of these players. But spawning down here in the bottom left, he's in some rough water. I did not expect him to struggle this much against his opponent. It's the blue Zerg Serral.
And top right is the red Terran. It is Sidestorm Gaming's GuMiho.
Yo, so on the topic of player intros, hanging on Juggernaut Jason's stream last night, Maynard comes in and everyone starts gushing about Maynard having the best intros. And Jason has the best idea of all time. You know how when Maynard does intros, it's almost like the whole like this is Sparta, but it's like this is, and then like player name or whatever. Like Maynard's super good at hyping that up. What if he cast the whole game like that, right? Where it's like, he's building a marine.
It'd be fucking annoying.
I don't know, dude. I think it'd be so hype. I want it to happen so badly. Next, because you end up casting with Maynard more than I do. Next time you cast together, you gotta get him to try and do it.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna be worth it. It's gonna be a failed experiment.
I think it'll be worth it. I think it'll be 10 out of 10 worth it. But yeah, GuMiho is a fantastic player. And you brought up this point I want to touch back up on, though, where like in Europe, there's not many Terrans, but the few that there are have all been very happy to experiment with mech, right? So you know Swarm Host at the counter and Zerg are well experienced. The funny thing is, though, there are good Zerg players in Korea, right? Like look at Bial, for example, amongst many others. But there's not nearly as many Zerg over in Korea as there are in Europe. So it's a funny dynamic here, where you've got all the Zergs in Europe who don't have many Terrans to practice against, and all the great Terrans in Korea who don't actually have that many Zerg to practice against. Like, this is actually such a, I guess, out there matchup when you consider what region both of these players are coming from.
Yeah, the regions are pretty stark contrast to each other. Bly even tweeted yesterday, or the day before, I don't remember, but the point is he played against GuMiho and tweeted how just Korean Terrans rather, are just so much more powerful with their pushes. That it's like a big difference.
So the funny thing here, right, this benefits maybe Serral. I'm going to throw back to an interview I had with at DreamHack with Nurchio. And of course, Nurchio said never buff Terran ever under any circumstance. But I do wonder, like, if Terran were buffed, you had more Terran players be more successful. Like, is that a good or a bad thing? Like, suddenly, if there's more Terran at the top of the ladder, you got more games versus Terran, and there's more practice.
That's all. I don't think that's how it's gonna work.
But of course, you know how they would buff Terran, right?
Increase speed.
I was gonna go the other direction. Increase 10 health on something.
Oh yeah. Reaper dies to Queen. That's not supposed to happen. Speed is a long ways off, so that was just a bit of a mistake from GuMiho.
Well, so two things here. First off, it's Proxima Station, so I don't think he was going to get into Scout much anyways. But Serral's knocking down his back rocks, which is, I'd say, unorthodox. It's good to have that extra pathway out and around, and I love the idea that he's setting up for this. But I can't think of many players who are actively going out of their way to do it this early.
Yeah, there never really was that huge point, you know, like on King Sejong Station, where it just became so obvious what was going to happen. You always broke down the rocks. Despite what I remember, like, when Proxima first came out, I brought up that, like, oh yeah, someone abused the tanks, and that makes sense. But it never really was used too often, so there doesn't usually seem to be a necessity to break them down. But Serral had eyes on the build from GuMiho, and while he didn't see the add-ons, there's not really a confirmation that this is what's happening. I guess he maybe like recently went up against someone who did it, or just knows that GuMiho is that type of player to be able to do a push like this. GuMiho does the wonkier stuff, the mech builds, the early tank drop pushes. So it's a good thing that he started, because that's exactly what's happening. Tank is being produced, second medevac on the way. You don't usually see the Marines and the Widowmine walk forward like this. So I think
no, but he gets an Overlord for it.
Yeah, I mean, they could go to the main. And they might have to, because Serral's already broken down the rocks. There's a second scout on it.
Well, it's a pretty basic attack. There's not a lot of finesse here to throw off. There's no Cyclone. There's no extra element of like a Banshee with it. It's just a couple Marines in that medevac, right? So I don't think Serral's sweating much. I guess there's the Widowmine, but again, it's like one Widowmine.
Really, there's more to deal with the potential tanks. And there are two of them, so
yeah.
You lift up both medevacs and send them behind here. And even with the rocks broken down, it's still a pretty nasty choke. GuMiho, of course, not committing entirely to this. Onto a third CC. Onto a second factory. That's right.
Oh, GuMiho.
Oh, he's 3
I
members.
love you. I wish I could write him a love letter,
Oh,
but it would be weird.
He's not going for the back here. He's dropping into the main base, and this is usually never as good of an idea versus Zerg as it is versus Terran.
No, they're right. This is like a TvT drop he's pulling off, because there's tanks in this too. But I guess there's some cool positioning on the natural to the main dynamic you could have tried to pull off. Tanks come out first, though. Surrounded by those lings. Not going to look so good. One of the tanks that doesn't down. Takes it off in the last second. So, instead of action, this is going to get... Well, not cleaned up. What am I going to fire off?
We're losing you. It's like the more you talk and the louder StarCraft 2 is, the more Skype doesn't want to work. But yeah, this didn't end up trading as badly as I thought for having just landed on top of Lings, but does end up that Serral confidently pushes it back, saves all of his queens, and is on his way to 1-1 in Aspire. You can probably talk again. Feels bad though. Oh, well, if you are, I just can't hear you at all now, so maybe that's me.
Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if it's fixed or not. Anyways, mech is on the way. Blue flame pretty early. Earlier than it was on the Abyssal game, I'm pretty sure. No. Okay. Hello.
Hello again.
Yeah.
My voice started dying in the 3-minute downtime. Oh my god.
Oh. Well, that's
I
good.
feel like a smoker.
Yeah, you sound like one.
Oh boy.
Overseer taken out by the Vikings. Did it see that it was mech before it died? It did not. It sees Hellions on the way, just barely, and then Vikings too, 2 of them, and that's like, again, enough to be suspicious, and it seems enough to confirm Infestation Pit is already on the way.
Have you seen this new button?
Oh my god, you guys. What? No, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
What are we oh my godding? I want to know.
Cat cam time. Oh my goodness.
Well, when you hit Control Shift O, you see that button next to the social, that 3 lines?
Yeah, the scores.
Have you clicked that before?
I have. I didn't really think much of it though.
This is like 11 pages of raw data.
Oh,
like they even have things like resources donated. So like if you're trading resources to an ally and stuff.
Food made? What is this, Warcraft?
Right? Like I actually don't know what this is, but this has every bit of data the game holds for the game. So like things like structures built, structures killed. What? How long's this been here for?
I've clicked on it accidentally before. I never noticed that there's 11 pages though. That's a lot. But big, oh geez. Okay, well I thought it was a big push, but the Valens helped take care of the Hellbats, so really only Thor's left over.
It is a big push. Big units coming with a big push. Thor's already at the ready.
But I think without Hellbats,
this is
okay.
so cool. There's a minerals spent tab in here. Like you can see GuMiho and Serral. Like GuMiho has spent 13,450 minerals this game. That's not resources lost. It's resources spent. This is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a bug though. It's supposed to be that bug.
I don't know. It's been there for a very long time. I know
Oh,
no
you
one
can
uses it,
life healed total. GuMiho's healed a total of 470 with these medevacs. That's so cool.
Use them more often. Well, Swarm hosts are now in play. I'm going to go straight for that production, so 2 factories are going to go down.
They'll tear down, but he needs to lift that. He needs to cancel and just lift. Like, that's going to suck to lose those factories. Thor's get surrounded on the other side. New ones fly on in.
Locust did take out both of those factories, but what about the push to the front? A couple of Swarm hosts have Locust once again, but not a lot of them. Looks like GuMiho is going to go for a drop in the main base with Hellbats. Singing with 2 different mineral lines. They do have Blue Flame. Go for the larva. Upgrades about to finish for Serral on his melee upgrades. And GuMiho is not really... Oh, no! Oh, okay.
Are your cats making out?
Yeah, this looks alright.
She's a child, Apollo.
He's, yeah. It's like when your parents tell you to take a bath and then they have to, like, drag you into the bathroom when you were younger. Except, you know, this is how cats take a bath.
Locust almost got a starport. Man, this is getting really rough. Like he's just not handling the Locust well this time.
Yeah, but
whereas like before, like he's killed a lot of drones. Don't get me wrong, but like I feel the first time when they played, the swarm hosts weren't as big of an issue as they're being right now.
Does now plant the production down, the ones that he lost, including that starport, but you're right. He has taken a lot more damage. There's been more opportunities for the Swarm host to get on top of production than they did on Abyssal Reef. After all, Abyssal Reef, you have to get past the third base and then hit the main. So it's very different. Spire is done. Hive is done, so he could transfer that to a greater Spire, but getting an Ultralisk Cavern right now. Locust once again coming forward. They accidentally find the army. Whoopsie. Vikings getting some free scouting on where the swarm hosts are, if they're popping their Locusts or not. Their Hellbat drop's gonna do a bit of damage. I mean, Serral lost a lot of drones, but he did bank enough to replace them pretty quickly. GuMiho's only just getting to his 4th base, but he has, well, he's only getting to prepare for his 4th, but he has 3 command centers on the way.
Oh, I can see the supply cap time here too. GuMiho's been supply cap for 162 seconds this game. Serral's only been supply cap for 54.
Supply blocks?
Oh, this is so cool. There's so much information here. I mean, some of this is just like nerdy and honestly not too relevant to the game, but it's just cool to talk about.
Yeah.
You still just like staring at your cats? Your cats
are fighting.
I'm like commenting. I was commenting on them in chat. What's going on? You know, one thing I would love to see out of GuMiho though, even without upgrades attached to it, a couple of Banshees would be fantastic for chasing down these swarm hosts. Because one of the problems is, if you guys don't know, especially on creep, but even off creep, swarm hosts walk. Oh, it's a kill, not a cancel. Swarm hosts walk faster than most units in the game. So it's especially tough when you got slow moving mech units to try and catch them and kill them.
Yeah. They got a speed buff a long time ago, and they're still experimenting with what exactly their role was. So they're not bad. I mean, they're not aerial, they're not mutas, they're not like the best harassment units ever, but they can get in and get out without dying. GuMiho's still only on that 1 star, but that's only recently built. Yeah, that cancel in the command center, lack of cancel. He sells planetary at the gold.
So there's a cool stat page here that I think I would really like to keep an eye on next time we cast Snoot, for example, where it shows like workers peak count. So at any point in the game, GuMiho at most had 70 workers. Serral 77.
Yeah. I love how interested you are in this. It's like
I really am. I love this extra information.
It's really cool because I know we've had those questions where it's like, man, if only they showed every single stat in the game, we would know the answer to this question.
But it's also totally a bug, and I don't think intended, right? Like,
I don't know if it's a bug. I mean, they never announced that this was a feature, but they don't announce a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
wow, idle production time is interesting. I guess it's because larvae are just useless for a while, but Serral has like 7 times the idle production time. GuMiho.
Still trying to deny what is now a 5th base. 4th is that gold. But they both are banking quite a lot. Both have even-ish upgrades. 3-2-1 versus 2-2. This base is going to go down, but Serral has another over here. Locusts are going the wrong way. Oh, they're going to try and catch the retreat, the reinforcing army. That ends up not being so bad.
The clump of Thorfinn AoE damage is what I was talking about. Like, you knock most of them out of the sky, but a lot of them still land, and this is a problem. The Hellbats have been taken up by the Ultralisks. Well, the Thors still might be able to do it. Thors have really good single target damage, and the Ultras are being transfused like crazy, but they're still pushed back.
Oh, God. That was a Thor buffer for a couple of tanks on a choke. I mean, you're not supposed to send Ultras into that. These Lings could get maybe even cancels on all these command centers, but they go for the SCVs instead, and there's already Hellions out. So no good there. Scan because of a little more creep and leaves. I mean, Serral, he took the loss at the base and he took a loss with the army, but again, they both had such big banks that it doesn't really. And in fact, Serral still has a bigger bank and is already remaxed. Takes out that Thor pretty quickly. Hellbats go down. 3 damage, always useful. More Ling counterattacks, looking for something to do. They really want to continue denying this base. They're doing a very effective job of this one as well. I guess he hasn't checked this one for a while, and that's the one that GuMiho is going to take and hopefully turn to a planetary before it's found. He does see all the command centers leaving. But again, Hellions in position. Lings get minimal damage. They are 3-3 Adrenal Gland Lings, so 2 seconds on the SCV line, they kill 8 SCVs.
Well, the resources lost in general, still pretty close. So nobody really trailing behind. And Serral's got a pretty nice bank. My concern is right now with making all these lings to run around the map, he's actually using... No, this is great. I love this. I'll talk more about this in a second. But he's using up a lot of his larva, right? The reason I think a Planetary is a phenomenal move is it's really good at dealing with Locust. It can soak hits, especially if he decides to invest in building armor, which he has not so far. Plus, it's a good just central choke point. I mean, at some point, too, we maybe see GuMiho throw down some random-looking supply depots and turrets to create SimCity for things like Ultralisk and Locust have to choke through.
He got building armor really early last game. Or Abyssal, sorry.
Yeah, it's not exactly the dynamic versus, like, Broodlings, for example, but as we see, like, a Planetary... Sucks that it goes down, but it's better than losing Thors. And oh, the Ultralisk you caught with those Thors. The Delta tanks and chopped off. It's a little bit behind Transfusion.
Yeah.
You just lost.
I'm not sure if the Ultras are caught by the Thors are caught by the Ultras. Serral looked like he very intentionally wanted to protect the Stormhost first of all, but then he decided to take that fight. But GuMiho now pushing forward, has 3-3, lost a command center, so he is only on this one healthy base. The gold is already mined out.
Well, he can long distance to the proxy command center in the middle of the map.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
I mean, I like the Planetary as well. This game might just be going to that real, like, divide in half base.
Well, actually, another benefit of this Planetary, if it lives, because the Locust Storm might just kill it, right, is Ling run-bys wouldn't even be able to run by it, necessarily. Like, you would actually have that thing catch a lot of flash damage on their way through. But GuMiho's also, you know, the building armor is actually pretty important. It makes a huge difference on whether you can even repair a building or not.
Barely
Full surround barely keeps the command center alive.
Ah, the Corruptor Piss Squad. GuMiho's done a great job dealing with the Ling run-bys by having Hellions chase him, but he hasn't really accounted for the Corruptors yet. In fact, I mean, who does? Usually Broodlords.
Well, trading a base for a base, I mean, a lot more expensive for GuMiho. Contacts your guys a hatchery, that's 300 minerals. You gotta spend the 400 on the command center, another like 150 and 150 to upgrade to a Planetary. Like, it's actually very expensive and not worth GuMiho trading this out unless he gets more than just the one hatchery.
Oh.
The Locust here is such a long cooldown. I mean, all he has to do is deal with this wave thing. Keep pushing. They're not a solid 40 seconds before Serral's army. It's not cut in half. The Stormhost are all useless when they wait on cooldown. And the Thors tear right through those Ultralisks.
Yeah, they do. +3, it almost just finished up here. He scans and sees that there is another base entirely mining.
There's 11 Broodlords on the way, though.
Where are they? They're over here, very safe, but they're going to take a while to come and respond.
Yeah, the thing is, GuMiho actually doesn't have to sweat it, though. Because, you know, you see Broodlords just go high-impact payload mode and basically one-shot them out of the sky.
There are so many that, yeah. I mean, there's also so many Thors, so that might just be the case.
Well, Rada seems to repair the Thors, too, by the way. I love that. But he's hit multiple bases. He's got a Storm over here. He's got Hellions and landed Vikings over on the other side. I don't know that it's safe to push into the main. It'd be really nice to pick off that tech. But Serral was ready in case he was, and he starts building additional spires.
Yeah.
What? Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I was saying, I would have loved to see one in the top left, because that's where this is eventually going to go to, right? Like, lie in the top left base.
Yeah. This isn't just Broodlings, it's also going to be Locusts, so the Thors have a real tough job to do, but they are being mass repaired, and there's even a couple Vikings to help out.
And there's those flexed out guns we were talking about. Now, for those who don't know, the range on these actually matches that of the Broodlords. 10 range to the Broodlords 10. So 10 range to shoot Locusts past, but it's running away. It goes back to the Planetary. This is going to be so fantastic. That Planetary is going to make sure the Broodlings don't get too out of hand.
Keeps denying the mining. This is not looking so bad for Serral, who's the only one at the bank now.
That Planetary is going to get.
We're losing you again. Action starts up. This is bad. 20 SCVs were killed. The Broodlords, 4 of them are still alive, but all the Locusts have been taken care of. Another Broodlord will die shortly after. Most of the Thors lived, even if some of them are very weak, and Serral just instantly plummets in supply. That was not an effective engagement. What is he going to remax on? I mean, you had some of the best units possible against Mech, and it didn't do enough.
That was a really important super hype engagement, and I'm really sad I couldn't talk about it.
I know. You've been kind of, honestly, like, buffering out.
Let's try Discord after this. Fuck it. Like, this is dumb. But people in chat bring up the topic of Vipers, and the problem is you actually can't go Vipers. As much as Abducts would be great, Thors deal the bonus damage to the Vipers too. So there's no way for them to get in there and...
Oh wow, you're still cutting out. Yeah. Okay, well... Okay, well the point is the Vipers can't get in there, so, I mean, he has certainly the minerals and the gas and the tech as well. His hive to get to him. This wouldn't be that useful. I think GuMiho just has the better composition. I mean, Serral... I really don't know what you do against this. Maybe try and base trade it, try and split up the Thors so they're not all clumped up together. And Serral does still have somewhat of an army.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to work. Every time there's an engagement, you just...
Okay, I'll keep it quick. Serral's going to lose this game with a 5-game thing.
Okay, yeah. That's looking pretty grim. He's losing most of his tech. He didn't really rebuild any of it. Looks like he built maybe a second Ultra's cavern in the top left. But, I mean, Ultras would have to get the Thors in, like, the middle of the map with Ling support and... Yeah, no, even then I don't think it's enough. He's having trouble maxing out as well. I think he's actually running a larva being on 2 bases, after all. And there could be some Locust to help out. And the Thors, maybe they can... Yeah, if they come in a line, maybe they split up because GuMiho assumes that he's winning. Maybe that's when 9 Ultras can surround well enough. But I do think that Serral's pretty desperate. I'm pretty sure Serral's like scratching his head thinking like, what exactly should I have done? I got the best units possible and they still couldn't defeat tons and tons of Thors. Thors do pop, but they're in a position where they definitely aren't going to get that surround I'm talking about, and without it, they have absolutely no chance. With it, they have a very low chance anyways. Stormhost continuing to deny the mining of GuMiho, but, you know, GuMiho is the one that has extra command centers. Serral is on his last hatchery, and some of his last drones, too. 15 more drones, most of them are up here. Ultra's trying to leave, but they can't be produced here. I mean, cancel, in fact. It's time to base trade it, I think. Like, base trading with Ultras versus Mech? Wait. Oh, the Stormhosts are caught. They're going to try and help out a little bit. Not going to happen. Serral just taps out. GG. GuMiho does take 3-0. Mech and Bio. I got to open up the Discord and try and fix this issue.
Yeah, I'm on ours. So hop on base trade. I guess commercial break while we fix it.
Yep. We'll see what we're casting next as we get this fixed as well. So I'll be back as soon as it's ready.